Hello. Let's see, got some sound? Yes, indeed. All right. Hey, everybody. This is Darren. I am here with you, coming from Racine, Wisconsin. In case you haven't heard, um, I am hoping to have a couple guests on here today, but I'm going to go ahead and resend this to them just to make sure. See if I can get them here. But yeah, so tonight we're going to go back and be talking about the feeding of the 5,000 one more time. This week I actually had a chance to get into the. Oh, I see someone. I see him coming in now. So don't make me. There's Mark. Let's get Mark in. All right. He's off to the side a little bit, but I don't know what's happening there.
Side? Let's see.
But,
I had to just move this thing.
They were trying to push you aside there.
Yeah, there you go. Is that better?
That's better. Yeah.
Okay.
Super.
Yeah.
How you been, Mark?
How you doing? How's the transition going out there?
Oh, well, it's still transitioning. For sure.
You're still in boxes?
Oh man, let me tell you. Well, and what we got a 3-month lease while we look around, so we a lot of stuff is staying in boxes. So it's like,
yeah, that makes sense.
What you put in boxes, whether you put the right things in boxes or not, is a whole nother story.
You're trying to figure out what's in what boxes. Huh?
Should that be in that storage place? 3 feet back behind, a table and dresser or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe not. So anyway, yeah.
Looks like you got your library unpacked.
Yeah, that was the first thing I needed to do. Try to figure out where everything was.
Okay.
So yeah. That's been good. That's been good.
Okay.
Of course, it just makes me angry though, because now I got all my books up, but I haven't had time to look at any of them. So,
Oh wow!
It's just for show right now.
Yeah. Well, you're getting back in business, so that's
right.
good.
Right. Yeah. How's everything for you?
Good. We dodged a few storms. I thought we were gonna hit some storms, but I got lucky where I'm at. Now, if you're Chesterfield and South, they got hammered tonight.
Oh no!
They got hammered from storms. Yeah. So
wow.
Yeah. So that's the weather is.
Yeah. It's been warm here, so I'm trying to take advantage of it before it turns cold. So
they typically get a lot of snow up there.
Yeah, I think they do once once Halloween or whatever hits, and then from there on.
Yeah.
But they say that I used to live in Michigan. They say that there's more snow. There's more snow over there on that side for the lake effect. So
okay. Oh yeah.
Not that I enjoyed it there, but at least I'm used to it.
Yeah.
So that's something. Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah.
I hope I think I sent. I think I sent Leonard the right link.
Yeah. I think
he might be. Go ahead.
He might be running late or something. So yeah.
Yeah. So he might be. Who knows what he might be speaking at some event with the president or something like that. For pharmaceutical.
I never know.
Like pharmacist society.
Yeah, I never know with him. He stays busy with that stuff.
Right. He's going to call in from Howard University or something like that.
Something. Yeah. You never know.
Make us all feel like we. Should be doing more with our lives, but
yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. So anyway, I did get a chance to look at some of the, the chats and I mean, look at some of the commentaries and look at some of that stuff. So we can get started here. Yeah. All right. Yeah, maybe I'll read the text one more time. That seemed like a good way to go. Well, that's not. It never hurts. Never hurts to read the scripture, I don't think.
Nope.
Can't hurt. Can't hurt. All right. Let's see here. Yeah. All right. The apostle gathered around Jesus and told him all that they had done and taught. If anybody's out there watching along, if you missed it last week and you're not familiar with this story, Jesus had sent the apostles out to go and to heal people, to to perform all of the same kind of ministry that Jesus had been doing. And now they come back and tell him about everything they'd done. He said to them, "Come away to a deserted place all by yourselves and rest a while." For many were coming and going, and they had no leisure even to eat. And they went away in a boat to a deserted place by themselves. Now many saw them going and recognized them, and they hurried there on foot from all the towns and arrived ahead. Oh, all right. Okay, I see Leonard down there, so I'll get it. As he went ashore, he saw a great crowd, and he had compassion for them, because they were like sheep without a shepherd, and he began to teach them many things. When it grew late, his disciples came to him and said, "This is a deserted place, and the hour is now very late. Send them away so that they may go into the surrounding country and villages and buy something for themselves to eat." But he answered them, "You give them something to eat." They said to him, "Are we to go and buy 200 denarii worth of bread and give to them to eat?" And he said to them, "How many loaves have you? Go and see." When they had found out, they said, 5 and 2 fish. Then he ordered them to get all the people to sit down in groups on the green grass. So they sat down in groups of hundreds and of 50s. Taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, he looked up to heaven, blessed and broke the loaves, gave them to the disciples and set before the people. And he divided the 2 fish among them all, and all ate and were filled. And they took up 12 baskets full of broken pieces and of fish. Those who had eaten the loaves numbered 5,000 men. All right. There we go.
There we go. There it is.
All right. Yes. How are you, sir?
Hey, hanging in here, man. All right. Been a crazy day.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the anti-vaxxers been giving me a hard way to go.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, no. That's not good. That's not good. That's not good. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So second time around here with this text, I had a couple things that I wanted to look at related to the shepherd and the sheep kind of language in here, but I got pulled some verses from the Hebrew Bible to look at. But did y'all anything from this popped in your all's head over the last two weeks now, right? Yeah, it's been a minute. But anything else you want to talk about?
I preached basically the same text from John yesterday.
Oh yeah. That's right. Because it's we're doing all. I think the lectionary is all in John 6 now too. So a lot of people are preaching that John text. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Did a good job with that too yesterday.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, did a good job with that. Yeah.
Yeah. I lifted up the young man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But when you talk about shepherds and whatnot, it's it's all about understanding that economy and the importance that sheep had, because sheep provided food, they provided the oil for the worship, the olive oil or sweet oil that we call that was medicine, and then the wool was for clothing. So it was it was an integral part of the society where a lot of protein was lacking. In fact, most of the nutrient back then was bread. That's where people got it from. And when you look at the other text, they said 5, and this one it says 7. It's one in Matthew that says 7 loaves also.
Right.
To come up with that, even though it's with 5,000 people, You know,
Right.
I've got this. I know you laughed, Mark, when I said it yesterday. How I'm saying these black folk, and whenever black folk go anywhere, they carry food with them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Leonard, is your are you virtual still? Are you
Well,
preaching? Are you
well,
preaching on? Go ahead.
we're hybrid, and
Oh,
it's
okay.
very strange how hybrid works.
Right.
On a normal Sunday, there may be 20 people in the building, and everybody else is on YouTube and on Facebook. But Mother's Day, there was a big crowd. I don't know. I have a habit of giving out roses to the women on Mother's Day. So I don't. They showed up then, but then a large group showed up on Memorial Day, and there's the same thing on the 4th of July. And so since our church anniversary is Labor Day weekend, I'm expecting a large crowd.
Yeah.
I might feed them, but people are very comfortable with the hybrid thing, and it has allowed me to reconnect with my members in North Carolina, my members in Georgia. And I have members up here in Richmond who, it's an hour drive. So some of them, they've reconnected, and I've even had some members join from DMV because of this. So, I've got to I really got to step it up.
Right. Yeah. Now, do you go do you record it? You record what you're doing right there in the church, and
everything is what you get. So if something messes up,
right.
And we don't have even though I'm a musician, but as pastor, it's just so much that I will do. So the choir sings to tracks, and tracks are unforgiving. They're unforgiving, and so if something goes wrong, it's just. But some people have said that's what they love about our service. It's authentic, and when people don't have the right subject verb conjugation, but their prayer is still, how I want to say, earnest and sincere. People say they love the authenticity because they say so much seems like production, and so we don't have a production.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. Yeah. Well. Yeah. I won't go there. I make enough mistakes whenever I'm being recorded to. If they want to call it, if they want to celebrate it being authentic, then that's I'll go with that. For sure.
Well, I mean, sometimes I think, when we record and then, you say it's premiere, they go over it 100 times trying to get everything straight.
Yeah.
And so, it's just spontaneous, but, everything is done in order. It's if you had come to a worship before the pandemic and come now, it's totally different. Because now it's just all about worship. A lot of times we were doing things just, people wanted to do it. So now it's all, it's all worship.
Right.
And when people are enjoying it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, we live stream. We had a service in the park it was kind of like a retreat center that had a big tent up outside. So we did that not this last Sunday, but Sunday before. And the sound guy who was recording, he set up a little Bluetooth thing for the organist, so the organist could have so the keyboardist could have a monitor kind of to hear themselves play. But he didn't realize that as soon as he set that up, it connected to his phone. So I was in the middle of a prayer, and we were having a moment of silence, and all of a sudden his phone goes off, and it announces unknown caller. So it was fun. There's always some kind of something going on with the technology. Yeah. Well, let me just show you these couple things I thought were interesting. Just out of this shepherd stuff from the I'm gonna try to share this thing. It'll keep us over there in the side at least. let's see how it works to make it go click through. So like here's there's a few different things. So in Numbers you have this language of sheep without a shepherd, talking about Moses passing along you know, the leadership of the people of Israel onto Joshua, which of course is, you know, basically Jesus' name as well. So you have that connection, and then you have a lot of different places where you have the king or the royal person in Israel being referred to as a shepherd of the sheep, and then of course Psalm 23, you know, the God as the true shepherd. You have that multiple times in places. And then, you know, the other thing, which is kind of, some people talk about relating to this text, is, you know, how a lot of the prophets, you know, criticize the current leadership, you know, the leadership that's there, that they're watching and criticizing. They, you know, basically refer to them as not so great shepherd, you know, and so, so yeah, this is the Numbers text about Moses. You know, it says, "Let the Lord, the God of the Spirit of all flesh, appoint someone over the congregation." Moses is talking. "Who shall go before them and come in before them? Who shall lead them out and bring them in? So the congregation of the Lord may not be like a sheep without a shepherd." So the Lord said to Moses, "Take Joshua, son of Nun, a man in whom is the Spirit, and lay your hand upon him." See if we all go. Yeah. So I think we talked about last week too, how there's a lot of kind of Moses, you know, there's a lot of relationship to Moses and the Exodus kind of wandering in here, you know, as well, with the kind of a similar to the manna, you know, kind of idea with the bread being provided, and Jesus being compared to Moses, or one that would come after Moses. So I thought that was an interesting kind of parallel that picks up, and obviously the language is very similar to them being like a sheep without a shepherd. Yeah.
And I was thinking,
yeah, go ahead, Mark.
That this text was written about 85 AD roughly,
or maybe a little earlier. That's
okay.
That might be the later. The later.
My point is, there's a lot of bad memory, trauma, probably in this community. They still remember what happened in Jerusalem, the destruction of the temple, the dispersion. So, in a sense, this community is without a shepherd because they're dispersed. Their community has been destroyed. They've been kicked out of their home city. So this idea of shepherding and being semi-pastoral is very, very important to them, because they're dealing with all this trauma. Okay.
Yeah.
And I was also thinking, you know, that one of the articles I read parallels Herod and the whole religious community lining up with the Romans, and maybe the community's thinking, well, you see where that got you.
Right.
You know, that the way to be is not to line up with the power structure, but maybe the way to be is to reach down or reach out. So that's the new vibe for this community, not to line up with the power structure. So we see where that got us.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, going back to that agricultural economy, and they saw how sheep would be if it was nobody there with them. So,
right.
You know, he's saying, you know, these people that Moses had, they're like that. If nobody is in charge, nobody there to point them in the right direction, you know, it's going to be a mess. And, you know, because sheep just dumb animals. That's just
right. Right. Yeah. It's never been a flattering comparison necessarily to be a sheep, you know.
And I'm sure this community is still struggling to get its 80, 85, whatever 80, still struggling to get its some kind of structure in place in terms of leadership and what have you. So that shepherd motif, that pastoral piece is very, very important to that. So and then pushing this to 2021. To me, I know we always talk about education piece being so important, but I think the second piece that's important to the ministry is this whole pastoral care piece, especially after this year, folks being isolated, dealing with that. Some folks, the only structure they had was coming on a Sunday morning. Now they don't have that. So this whole pastoral care piece is so very, very important. I think right below the education ministry is this whole pastoral care piece.
Right. And that's the big argument going on in the church today: pastor versus CEO. Whether you actually be the pastor of a church or you're going to be a CEO, and that's why I'm real comfortable being in a small church. And even when I was in a mega church as an associate minister, the pastor might have been a CEO, but I was always there. It was a group I sat with every Sunday, and they would call me pastor. And then on Sunday night, I would go to the jail and preach, and it would be, sometimes 80, 90 women, and I was their pastor. They, we would worship, and then we would talk after service. So, I feel that's real important, and that's something we shouldn't lose, even with modern technology. Because we have the tools to still pastor, even though we can't be with people. Just like the three of us are here on the screen, FaceTime, or even go to meeting. We can do one-on-one with people to talk to them about their problems, or just text them to find out what problems, send them some scripture. People need shepherding because the world is crazier than it was then. We have all these distractions, and so you said don't call them, but the sheep don't go everywhere now because everything is pulling at them.
Right. And somewhere I don't remember where it was I was looking at, but someone was talking about, it's interesting in this because you have Jesus who has compassion on them because they're like a sheep without a shepherd, teaches them, but then when it comes time to feed them, breaks them up into, small communities. Like breaks them up into smaller groups to say, basically in a way saying, I'm about to go away, so y'all got to care for yourselves. you need to get to know some people around you right now, because I'm about to go the other side of the river, right? Other side of the lake here in a minute. So you need to come together in your community, because you're going to need to be you need to take what I've taught you and care for each other, with the same compassion that I'm teaching you, and the same compassion I'm teaching you with. I think you're right about. I've always struggled with this because there are ways in bigger churches to have smaller areas that care for each other, but I think sometimes it's a smaller church in a way makes a lot of sense. And if you get to a certain size, maybe plant something somewhere else. Keep different communities growing instead of trying to amass.
I think no matter whether you're big church like I don't know if your church is big down there or small church like Edloe, still it's important that you train those leaders on this pastoral care concepts, and that's one of my concerns I have ongoing is how good a job are we doing in continually instructing the folks we have in place for doing pastoral care, deacons, deaconesses, what have you. What kind of job are we doing to instruct them and train them in terms of the challenges that they face as they deal with people that have issues?
Right.
Yeah, because when we talk about dispatches, we're just talking about one need, the food. And if you go back to the John passage, they're around Jesus because he's healing all these sick people.
Right.
And so you got all of these needs in the community that still need to be addressed. And how do we handle it? And I've been saying a whole lot recently, it seems like the more preaching we do, the worse it gets. You know, we need to follow the example of Jesus, because every time I took, they said he was teaching. He was teaching. He was teaching, you know.
Yeah. I know one of the concerns I have when I might raise it with STVUs. I like to see some more ongoing seminars or for ministers and clergy on pastoral care. Besides ongoing education piece, but ongoing on doing pastoral care and issues that come up with doing pastoral care. Because, like I said, people are struggling with some stuff. You know, I don't know how good a job we are preparing our folk for the issues they're going to come up that may confront that people may have.
Yeah, well, see, when I took pastoral care, it was more about going to the nursing home, going to the hospital, you know. But, you know, I've got healthcare has changed. So, I mean, you may not stay in the hospital but a day. You know, sometimes you stay in there 3 days and they don't admit you. But, you know, it's stuff that people are dealing with right in front of our eyes, you know. And when you look at the drug overdoses, I mean, that's in all our communities. That's in all our churches, because, you know, I'm dealing with that right now, up front and personal, with, you know, 2 of the men in my church, you know, that I know of. And I know it's bigger than that, because as I talk, you know, well, I mean, we always done that, you know, it's nothing new. And then, you know, you got the single mothers, you know, how do you minister to them? You know, it's and the finance thing, you know, I mean, sure, you know, the stimulus checks have helped, but people are still dealing with all issues. And people looking for, you know, they're looking for love, but because they aren't being loved, then they end up with sex. And that, you know, that's where the problem is.
I think this might segue well. You know, I think, you know, obviously the shepherd part is here, but then also, you know, in this text, it has, he makes me to lie down in green. Well, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures, leads me beside still waters, restores my soul, lead me in the right paths for his name's sake. Obviously, you also have in this text the echo of that green pastures as well. You know, it says that they, you know, had them sit down on the green grass. I think there's something here when it echoes this psalm about what we're talking about. You know, there's a way that we have to prioritize, you know, helping people find comfort and peace, helping people find restoration, helping people find the right path, you know, to walk down and make, and that comes through, you know, it comes through care for each other, and it comes through community, you know, coming together to do that.
Well, you know, see, this green pasture thing, it's still important right now because people need green spaces. You know, I had a student in pharmacy school who had gone to UVA and Excel, and she came to BCU, and she just couldn't deal with anything. You know, it was just terrible. And so, you know, Dean told her to come talk to me, and we just sat there and talked. She said, "It's just no place green around here." And I said, "Come on, let's take a walk." And we walked over to Capitol Square. And she you know, she was from the Eastern Shore of Virginia, and then went to UVA, so she had no idea what was in Richmond. And just to walk over there and be able to get in that green space meant so much. And I mean, you look at some of our cities. I mean, you know, Houston, prime example. I've never seen so much concrete in all of my life. You know, and you know, you wonder why. You know, you have a half-inch of rain, it floods down there because And the green space restores your soul.
It does.
And Mark, you've been to my building. That's what I love. I got plenty of green space. And, we're gonna set it up, you know, now. especially with COVID going on, where people can just come and sit down and in that green space in the shade and restore their soul, because we are still the same, humans that God made years ago, and those needs are still there. And part of our dysfunction is because, we don't go back to who we are. We don't go to the water. We don't go to the green space. And, water is so, what water does so much. Mark, the next time you see, Mark didn't let me know when he was coming to visit me. I would have, I would have carried him to the house, and we would have sat there by the water, and I would have cooked food, because when I get messed up, that's what I do. I go and sit on that deck and just look at the water, and the water I don't have to drink it. I just have to feel that breeze come.
And you talked about green space before we were working remotely, and I was in the office. Almost every day, I would get in my car at my lunchtime, and I'd go to Bird Park. I love Bird Park. There's something about those lakes. There's something about Bird Park. To me, it represents almost the heart of the city of Richmond.
You got green space and you got water.
Yeah, water. Yep. Yep. Yep.
And see, that's what I love about the Bible. He leads me to green pastures.
Yeah.
Or plush grass, and he restores my soul. And just being there,
Yeah.
And I think there's something else in this passage that when we talk about shepherding. One of the things a shepherd does is create safe space. And I think that's critical, that our people are seeking safe space, because they're dealing with issues, they're wounded, and I think that one of the things we have to do as people in ministries and make sure that we're committed to creating safe spaces, and we're not doing anything to hurt people. So I think one of the articles I was reading was contrasting how Jesus was and how Herod was. Herod cutting off folk, and he's wounding folks. Jesus is creating a safe area, a safe space. So that goes back to, I guess, what I'm trying to say is that we have to be committed to creating places where people feel comfortable and feel safe.
And it's a story too, also for the lay leadership, meaning that the pastor is not the hired hand. Because what they say, the shepherd lay down his life for the sheep, not like the hired hand. Just go and do anything. And to make sure that as pastors, we can show that concern and that care. And that's really what people just want to know. Somebody cares about them. It takes time to talk to them. We'll give them a smile, or just, from across the sanctuary, just wave at them, realizing I recognize you. I see you. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
Right. Well, okay. You kind of led me into one more of these allusions here that I think, I won't read all this because it's really big, but I think this is kind of what, the not so great shepherds, right? So Ezekiel talking about, should not shepherds feed the sheep? You eat the fat, you choose yourself, you clothe yourselves with the wool, you slaughter the fatlings, but you do not feed the sheep. You have not strengthened the weak, you have not healed the sick, you have not bound up the injured, you have not brought back the strayed, you have not sought the lost, but with force and harshness you have ruled them. So they were scattered, because there was no shepherd, and scattered they became food for the wild animals.
So that's going into, I guess, what I was also alluding to is be careful that the shepherd doesn't become the predator also. And we know that happens. And unfortunately, we have a lot of people who are wounded because either the church didn't do a good job of creating a safe space, or in fact, the minister was predatory. So that's something we have to be.
Well, I think the other side of it too, the other part of it is saying, like, this all there's been some basic guidelines all along for how to be shepherd. You take care of the sick. You make sure that the people who need clothing are clothed. You bind up the injured. All these things are the things that people forget as soon as they have a little bit of power or are able to get, eat the fat and clothe themselves with the wool. You end up taking from people that you could be helping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I'm a little sensitive.
And not just.
I'm taking this class, this womanist theology class, and I think that some of our womanist friends are saying on guard on is that sometimes the shepherd being predatory, particularly towards the women in their care.
Well, it's not just the women. It's just it's real bad. And as a pharmacist, I have a code of ethics. And when I was in seminary back in the 90s, I did a code of ethics for ministers. But nobody wants it. I give it to my Christian education class every time. They say that the Bible is their code of ethics. But if you read the Bible, you will see that those who had a code of ethics didn't live by it. So I'm gonna share it with you. I'm gonna email it to both of you all so you can look at it. But
that'd be good.
It's like you say, it's got to be a safe place, and it's just a shame how people are preyed on, not just sexually but financially, or abused, verbally from the pulpit. It's
right.
When
it's not always intentional, that folks are, but it's sometimes by how folks say, how folks act, and you just don't know what wounds people have when they walk through those doors. You just don't know what people are struggling with, so.
Well, I mean, and I think part of this is saying too, that they were shattered because there was no shepherd, and scattered they became food for all the wild animals. I mean, I think there's once there's not an influence in people's lives trying to lead them and help them and care for them in the right way and in the right direction, there's all kinds of people ready to devour them, to prey on them, take,
the wolves are ready.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the hard thing is, I think it's because, I mean, a lot of that a lot of it is just really powerful way that a lot of the systems and things that are set up, are just not godly. They're out to they're out to teach you to make a profit over whatever, out to get ahead by any way you can. And many times people in the church, they've been taught to kind of use the language of the Bible to basically be doing the same, to say the same thing. And that's I think that gets people messed up real quick.
Well, we don't get formed spiritually, and Mark and I, we did spiritual formation thing, and I found another book. Rick Verhoeven has a real good spiritual formation book, and for the people who are becoming the new deacons and trustees in my church, they had to go through that before they would even be considered, because spiritually, where are we? We can quote a whole lot of scripture, we can have a good time in service and whatnot, but spiritually, where are we? Do we see the move of God, or like the one we did, Mark, the various movements of Christ,
the movements,
and how they manifested in the various, religious manifestations over the years.
And that gets one of my favorite script texts in this thing we're looking at is when he said, "You give them something to eat." Now, He put them to work. That discipleship is. I think one of the things I was reading, discipleship is not about not so much what you believe up here, but how you act.
Mm-hmm.
How you act. So he's teaching them that what's important is you learn how to create community. And it was one of the things that we got to do as we work with our folks, teach them how to create community.
And get out of that spirit of scarcity, because, we can't do it. It's not enough. It's constant. Just look, get what you have, partner with God, and watch God,
This I think I mentioned this in different places before, but this book's called "The Gospel and Soul into Name." It's a bunch of basically Nicaraguan peasants that are gathered around this priest, and they have these Bible studies, and this is from the Lucan version of this story. But one of the guys says, the teaching is also that if we come together to hear the message, we're not going to be hungry, because with a united people, there are no problems. Maybe I won't have food, but my neighbor will. If we're together, something can happen to us like what happened to those people with Jesus Christ. If we're together, it doesn't hurt to share. And then we're practicing the message of God. I mean, I think that's, part of what we're saying here, is that we have to create community, but we also have to create people who can recognize that the Spirit is moving, bringing people together. You have to be able to, see that God is at work. You have to be able to know what that looks like, to have experienced it, and that starts to free you a little bit to share with people, not just financially, but to share even of yourself. Because if you can't be vulnerable, then you can't, about what you've gone through or whatever, you can't call that out of people. You can't get, you can't really help them with it. If you haven't, or if you're not prepared to go there yourself, So I think that's, that spirituality piece and the way that us connecting with, God moving in our lives makes it so that we can connect with other people. That's a really important piece of this, I think. And I think that's where John's version gets at that, by connecting the bread so closely with ingesting, Jesus. We're getting together and really taking in who Christ is in our midst.
If you can't deal with it truthfully, don't preach it.
Right.
It won't have no power.
Right. Yeah. And I think as pastors, that's a lesson for us as well, to say, look, there's certain things that I'm not as qualified to speak about as other people are. I mean, there's, we can give our, we can be clear and say, look, I've read this text. This is where I think this text is going. This is, I think, what it's talking about. But if you really want to know what God is doing here, you need to find someone who's lived this text, and really experienced it. And I think sometimes we are afraid to admit that we have, that we haven't gone to another level with some of this stuff, depending on what it is. And that's hard, Sometimes there's people in our congregation that have that, well, sometimes we don't even like those people, but in some areas, they've experienced something, that puts them in a place of knowing, in the sense of, not just head knowledge, but knowing something, having gone through it.
And I think one of the things that Jesus teaches us when he says that to disciples, he recognizes that they have gifts. So he empowers them to use the gifts that they have to carry out this mission of creating community. And we can't be, sometimes I think we're afraid to, we're afraid to empower people sometimes. We don't recognize that that Sister A or Susie B or John, they have certain abilities, in their gifts, and we need that we can tap in that to do ministry.
Well, see, Mark,
Right.
some of the only power we have is what's in the church, and if we give that up, we won't have any power. And that's why a whole lot of people had problems dealing with me, because I'm running 4 pharmacies and pastor church. I don't need no more power. I mean, I got all the power I need. I want you to do this, so when the next person comes, you know how to do it. But people, they get a hold of something and hold on to it. And I mean, some people, they don't even want you to work in the ministry with them because they afraid they know a little bit more than you. When, like they said, great people always had people that knew more than them working around.
It's I mean, there's some good stuff. I mean, there's some good stuff here for those poor disciples, man. I tell you, they.
Come on, that's the thing about the Bible I love, and what I tell people all the time. The people in the Bible were more messed up than we are.
Yeah.
But they let God use them, and now we talking about them today.
Who
could have been more jacked up than David was?
Yeah.
Right.
Peter had a whole lot of problems.
Yeah.
Right.
But we lift them up today. Paul was. But and see, when we stop making these people in the Bible real holy and see them as they are, and especially in this text to see the situation that people are in, how God changed their situation. That's where the power is. That's where the real power is. And that's what we have to constantly be digging for, to show people, look, you think you got it bad, they had it real bad.
Right.
Because I mean, here they are, the richest, the most powerful country in the world is in charge, and they following this man Jesus around to get something to eat, to be healed. But I mean, you got the same thing going in the United States. You just don't have Jesus going around providing.
Right.
That's the way they can.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Wow. Well, I mean, I was thinking about this. I was thinking about this that statement from the guy about when you actually when the people come together, like the people who came together to share the food, when they come together, they're with and for each other. You can do a lot. You can make a way, out of things. And I've been we have a sister church in Cuba, at this church that I'm at now, and I mean, Cuba has produced 5 different potential vaccines. One of them is 92% effective. I mean, this is a country that we have been just literally squeezing to death for 60 years. But their medical field comes to, is united for the people, and they come up with, people in Argentina are waiting to get their vaccine, because they're ready to help give it away, because they want to be with people. I mean, so it's, when people come together and aren't worried about, how much money they can make off something, or how much they can, sneak out of somebody's pocket somewhere. I mean, people can do, you can do amazing things. I think that's what, part of the story is, look, these people may not have a lot, but when they get together, when they unite, they can provide for each other. They can make a way. Even in the midst of, like you're saying, this other place just this whole nation coming after coming after them. You know, yeah, incredible. Yeah,
they're interesting story, you know, because like when the earthquake came to Haiti, the Cubans were the first one there.
Right.
And if you go to a lot of African countries, you know, the physicians there were trained in Cuba. So,
right, right. I didn't talk to them, but I saw them at this rally last week of some people in Milwaukee who were trained down there. You know, they still take students on scholarships and will train you to be a doctor as long as you promise to come back and work in an underprivileged kind of area. No, it's I think there's some good parallels for us. You know,
we got to put ideologies aside and try to get these, because it's a Christian nation.
Yeah.
You know, you know, they persecuting Christians in China, but we do a whole lot of business with them.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was seeing a story of the vaccine. They were trying to get it over here to the United States, but because it had to go through so many, you know, this and that, you know, they couldn't keep it frozen long enough, so it would, you know, be bad when they got here. But you know, companies have tried to make deals. You know, I just.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know whole lot of people, you know, Minister Farrakhan, that's a bad name. But, you know, when he had prostate cancer, I know 20, 30 years ago, he went over there and he's still living, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a whole history there, especially of people in the Black liberation struggle broadly being able to find either medical help or sanctuary or you know, or whatever is needed there. So I mean, that's a lot. Well, and I mean the actual, not only the doctors but the military that was sent over to to Africa during the time of you know, in the 60s and 70s and stuff. I mean, some of those countries that were liberated there had a lot to do with the Cuban military being over there, you know, to help out, you know. So no, I mean, it's anyway, who knows, I'm gonna have to I'll have to check the chat see if we might have more views. We might have more views on this one because people will be bad mouthing us here, you know.
I don't think anybody said anything, unless you just didn't put them up. But you know, you know, we've got to have, you know, we have to understand the text and understand the context, the history. That's another thing we miss in the church. We don't study the history of what's going on in it, so it makes it really hard to understand. You know, you talk to some people, they think there was only one time there was a crucifixion. But I mean, that was something, you know, you would go up and down the roads of Palestine and there would be crosses with people. You know, it was to keep people under control. When we learn that, we can really, how I want to say, we can really understand what religion's about. I mean, that's why I get so upset about Maccabees not being in the Protestant Bible, because if you read that, then you understand, you know, how the Romans came in and did this and did that. And just them putting the Roman emblem outside of the temple, they saw that as being totally against God. And, you know, if that's the case, just think of what, you know, those people back then would think of us having flags, you know, the national flag in the church, you know. And people get mad with me, Mark, you notice, no flags in the sanctuary. And people look down on me about that, you know.
And I was thinking that, you know, as we look at this text and as the day ends for these folks, and they have to go back to dealing with the oppression of Rome, and in the Martian community, they got to do the same thing. The one thing that you can't take away, that can't be taken from them, is the memory of being in community together, and how that is going to provide strength for them as they deal with what they got to deal with. And so
Right.
the importance of folks coming together, sharing a meal, sharing an experience, that provides strength for the journey.
Right.
And like I said now, still the most intimate thing you can do is to break bread with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, so many other things, they go back to sex. Sex is not intimate with most people, because if you can't sit down and have a meal, how are you going to be intimate about anything? And so we learn so much. I mean, from this, and I mean the Last Supper. The last time, he sat down and had a meal with these people.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the key is the risk of vulnerability. That you can be sexual with somebody and still not be as hard as does not be vulnerable in a way. But the whole key is sharing that vulnerability.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, nobody is perfect.
Yeah,
everybody got, we all have weaknesses, we all have strength.
Yeah.
And the thing is, rather than trying to what fake it till you bake it, because you ain't gonna make it, you gonna just keep making it. Just be honest with people. Just be honest.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think I think that's where we really hurt ourselves. I mean, this comes down to that question of size of congregations and communities as well. Is that the early church was a size that they could eat together, and when they gathered together, they ate together, and they would eat together and listen to songs, and whoever had a word would speak, and obviously that led to some issues, and it was difficult, but when we got to the place, where it got to be bigger and bigger congregations, the meal became this little, the little tiny cracker or whatever, and the little bit of juice. And I think, we can really tell a lot about what we're willing to share with each other by the size of the the things that we use for the meal that we share together. We're willing to I'll give you a little cup, a little bit of bread. In a way, it's really symbolic of how much we're willing to give of ourselves, in community. And of course, we're not even bringing any of that. That's already provided for us. We're just taking it. You know what I mean? I think
that's why I love that's why I love the dinner church model so much.
Yeah.
It's really good, and I sort of envy people who don't have pews and they can just quickly transform. If I didn't have pews, we could roll the tables in. I got plenty of tables, and we can have the meal right there, and do the communion the way Jesus did. The 4 cups, because we concentrate on one, but it was 4.
And the thing about this whole pastor care piece and sharing, in a sense, in some ways we're going back to square one, because now we got to teach people how to be intimate again after this year apart, this year and a half, 2 years apart. We got to teach people how to come together again.
Right. Well, hopefully, this whole Delta variant thing and this whole, hopefully we're going to stick to a place where we can at least keep getting together with a fair number of people. But
just got to wear the mask. I'll wear mine every day in the gym. Whenever I go to the gym, I still wear it. I don't take it off. Go in the grocery store, same thing.
Same thing. No different.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hey y'all, this has been really good. It's been good to talk to share with y'all. I appreciate it. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And
I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Good.
So I don't know what's gonna happen next, but I'll you know, the invitation is always open. So
Well, look, after this weekend, I'm taking off. I mean, after Wednesday, I'm taking off at my church. You know, we don't do Bible study for a little while, so you know.
Oh yeah.
I'll join you in September. I need my soul restored.
Yeah. Find you some green pastures somewhere for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's too bad you're not up here, because I got all the water you could want. We're right. I'm about 3 blocks from Lake Michigan. You can you can just watch all the water you want right here.
Yeah, I've been to Chicago a few times. I never liked Chicago, so I'm gonna have to come north.
Yeah, you might have to get a little further up. Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah. All right, yo. It's been good hanging out with you, and let's
so
we'll
you taking a break
we'll
next week, or are you coming back next week?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, I hope to be back. I hope to keep some kind of schedule.
Okay.
You know, this keeps me, keeps me doing some stuff that I like to do. Keeps me digging in the, digging in the text.
And that's what we got to do, because we become stale when we don't.
Yeah,
exactly. So much,
Yeah,
so
for
new,
sure.
Scholarship coming out every day.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. All right,
Until next time.
Until next time.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Talk to y'all later.
Talk to you later. Okay.